This is a review for Stupor Duck, and with me today are my two friends who, one is named Advark and one is named Ratnik, my good friends Mark Arnold and Camden Spee. Say hi, guys.
Yo.
I've got Mark Arnold's Russian counterpart, Arnold Mark.
Yeah, I'm doing German, I meant Russian.
As mentioned, this is a review for Stupor Duck, released on the 7th of July 1956. It's the 774th in the series, and it's directed by Bob McKimson. You can find this on DVD on the Looney Tunes Golden Collection Volume 5 DVD set. It's also been a bonus feature on so many Superman releases, for obvious reasons. It should be pretty apparent why they would do that. But hopefully this high-definition version, which I'm using right here, will make its way on physical media. It's bound to happen at some point. When? I don't know. It is under copyright, so you won't find this on YouTube unless Warner Brothers themselves choose to upload it, which they might. This one is one of those go-to shorts they tend to like to show a lot because now they own Superman, and it wasn't at that time when that happened. So yeah, we'll definitely go through that. Yeah. But I'll go through the synopsis first because there's a few of you that you may not have seen it, but this is a parody of, well, Superman, of course, but there is something it's more specifically parodying, which we'll go through in a moment. But we see the usual Superman opening, the faster and speeding board, all that stuff. We see that it's not Clark Kent, but it's Cluck Trent. He overhears this over-the-top villain on a television set in the nearby room. That's Advark Ratnik, so he's assuming that he's just causing all sorts of destruction, or about to at least. So he changes into Stupor Duck and off he goes. So it's not really too deep, but it does reference a lot of things in relation to Superman. But for those who aren't aware, okay, so Superman had come out in 1938, actually Comics #1, hugely popular. It was consistently bestseller for DC Comics, but there were also radio shows and there was even a serial at the time. But Mark, one of the reasons you're on this one, in 1952, something else came out that this cartoon is referencing to.
Well, they actually did two serials, and then when they got around to doing a TV series, they tested it with George Reeves as the new Superman as a theatrical film called Superman and the Mole Man.
Which is a strange film.
Yes, yeah. It apparently was a hit enough, but at that time, I think anything Superman would probably have done well. And so they did a series. What's unique about the Adventures of Superman TV series, though, is it wasn't sold to a network. This is an early example of syndication. It wasn't the first example, but an early example of syndication. You know, later TV series like Star Trek The Next Generation and other things like that. Yeah, they went through syndication, but it was pretty unique in 1951 and 52 to have something like this. The other thing that was unique, and this probably is what spurred this cartoon, was in 1954 they decided to switch from black and white. They were doing 26 black and white episodes per season. They decided to cut it to 13, but do them in full color.
And then there's, of course, any Superman fan out there is the debate to whether or not the color did change everything for the storytelling.
Well, I mean, you know, it did get progressively sillier as time went on. You could say that about a lot of TV shows. I'm rewatching The Man from U.N.C.L.E., and that's an example where it was pretty serious. And it was in black and white, too, at first, and then it got into color and got sillier. So maybe there's something to that. No, original Star Trek got sillier as time went on, too. There was certainly much more violence in the early episodes. And in all the Adventures of Superman, there was none of the, you know, Lex Luthor or over-the-top villains that you get in the comic books. It was kind of like its own world other than Lois Lane and Perry White and Jimmy Olsen.
Which we also should point out that when The Adventures of Superman came out, Superman was really the only superhero that was popular. There were two other superheroes in comic books, which were Batman and Wonder Woman, but they did not have a popular Superman because even though superheroes were dying out after World War II, Superman could push out in World's Finest. It could push out in any kind of comic book and it would still sell well. But the Adventures of Superman just rose to the point to where Jimmy Olsen became its own comic book and Lois Lane had her own comic book. And it was a smash hit. By the time this cartoon came out, I think superheroes had already become popular again with, like, didn't The Flash came out around this time?
Oh, yeah. Well, 1956, 54 was when the Comics Code came into effect. And then by 56, DC was reintroducing all their older superheroes in newer versions of them for the Silver Age. So there's a new Atom, a new Flash.
Green Lantern.
You know, Green Lantern is a good one, yeah. So going back to the Looney Tunes with Stupor Duck, it's interesting Bob McKimson really paid attention to television more than probably Chuck or Frizz did. And you'll find out in these Looney Tunes, they do This Is a Life, and they do Honeymooners, Bugs Bunny, the Honey Mousers, and all sorts of things. So they're paying attention to, or at least Robert McKimson was paying attention to what was on television, what was popular, and what the kids liked. Is one
Ted
of them.
Pierce as well. Ted Pierce is right. He
Yes.
seems to have a lot of that.
Yeah.
Because, before they would parody a lot of radio, then they'll parody a lot of movies in the theaters, and, well, television's huge.
Chuck Jones, though, according to people who worked with him, didn't seem to like television. He said that television, particularly television animation, would not succeed. It would go away. According to what Willie Ito said, he says that when Willie Ito went to work for Bob Clampett, he said, just trying to want you to know, we're theatricals. We'll be around forever.
That's definitely not the case. But to be fair, if he was talking specifically theatrical level animation television, I would agree, unless you have a gargantuan budget. And then Hanna-Barbera showed it could be done. I know I'm simplifying it, but yeah, it's essentially the case. But we have here just another television parody. You've already mentioned there's going to be parodies of the Honeymooners, Honey Mousers, among other things, and just general husband and wife in the home parodies as well. All sorts of stuff, domestic situations.
And the thematic here is also that we've got Cold War all throughout this cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
It just lives and breathes Cold War. Aardvark Rachnik with that mad Russian accent.
Oh, yes.
We've got people going into space. We've got blowing up bridges because the theory was the Russians are everywhere. It could be any one of you could be the Russians.
Right.
They're spying on you.
Oh, 100%. And can we just agree that Mel Blanc's voice of that Russian, just that over-the-top soap opera Russian, is amazing.
You cannot stop me, Mr. Newspaper Editor. I blow up everything. Boom, powie, zam, kaboom. All over country. Buildings, bridges, power plants, trains, ships. Everywhere ruin and destruction. Then I, Aardvark Ratnik, will be supreme.
I do all over country, that whole accent. And, speaking of voices, of course, Mel Blanc does Daffy Duck as well. He also does a few of the bystanders, but we also have Dawes Butler in a smaller role. He does narration, and he also does the voice of the editor, who I'm assuming is a parody of Perry White. It doesn't quite look like him, but it's just your stock standard editor, I guess, but yeah. And I'm guessing that there was a little in-joke in that scene as well, where he's like, I don't know why I watch this stuff.
I don't know why I watch these corny soap operas.
They must have played joke on themselves because they probably watched too much television, or at least Ted Pierce did. Also, just so people are aware as well, Warner Brothers, they own DC Comics, so this sort of thing is, I guess, a natural thing. Look at Space Jam 2, I know, Shudder, I know, but, they did a Wonder Woman thing in there. But back then, they're all separated companies.
One of the reasons that Warner Brothers owns DC Comics now is not because Warner Brothers bought DC Comics, but both of them were bought by the Kinney Company, which was basically a parking deck company.
Right.
And when Warner Brothers 7 Art, when Jack Warner, and we don't have to go into the history of why Jack Warner and the 7 Art, that's a whole history in itself. There's documentaries and books about this that we don't need to go into, but it eventually became Warner Brothers 7 Arts, which the Kinney Company bought, which basically was the parking deck company that cleaned cars and everything.
Now, going back to the short itself, because we've discussed a lot about the references. A few other little minor bits of trivia in this one. We do see a reuse of animation in the beginning. That's reused from Hair Trigger when you see that train. It makes this cartoon 0 out of 10, of course, because we can't have reuse of animation now, can we? Right? No, kid. It's a kid, of course, but no. It's a reuse. That's fine. And also, we see references to the creators of this short. So we got a reference to director Bob McKimson as the McKimson Associates building. So I guess that must have been a side gig for him. And Ted Pierce, who apparently is a doctor because he's got the whole Dr. Pierce's mild pills. What is in those mild pills, I wonder? Do they use a certain plant to make one person mild?
Yes.
It's one of those pills, Anyway, the music is by Carl Starling. He was sort of on and off by this point, alternating between Bill Franklin, who was doing some of the music. But what I like about this is that you hear mostly original cues. You hear you ought to be in pictures a little bit when you see Warner Brothers, but aside from that, it's mostly original cues, and it's always good to see him do an original score versus doing all the puns all the time. With this one, I originally saw this via Daffy Duck's Fantastic Island. It was one of the cartoons on there, and while it's the weakest compilation movie, I still have a soft spot for it. It introduced me to this sort of stuff, which I'm glad for it.
Listen, Will, if you can whomp up a piece of cheese for a mouth, surely you can turn me into a super duck so I can fly off that stupid island.
Your fondest wish, your fondest dream, I'll make you Super Duck Supreme.
Call that super duck? You made me a stupid duck.
Patience is a virtue. Patience brings good luck. It is seldom found in humans, and never in a duck.
Stupid well. Ow, ow.
I remember seeing this on TV, I think. This is one of those few cartoons that me, born in 2000, remember more vividly seeing on TV.
It's a staple. I mean, I'd imagine it'd be shown for you a lot, right?
For me, I don't think this was part of the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner show initially. As such, the only time you would see it would be in syndication or on things like the Porky Pig show and those type of off-brand packages of cartoons. So I would see Stupor Duck very rarely. And when I did, I was thrilled because I loved it. You know, and it's like, oh, here it is again.
It's been a while since I've seen Fantastic Island. Did they include the context of Aardvark Ratnik?
It did make sense because all it was that Daffy, he makes a wish because it's to do with this wishing well that everyone makes a wish. And in this case, it's just Daffy Duck wanting to be a superhero, basically. And it made sense. It's just, oh yeah, he stupidly assumed that this villain is real when in fact it's just some cheesy soap opera villain, you know? That's all it is. But we'll have a look at this show from start to finish. And right away, if you needed any more proof that this is a parody of the Adventures of Superman TV series at the time, look no further than the opening. It's like a pitch-perfect parody. It's done so well.
It's Stupor Duck, possessing extraordinary powers. This strange being from another planet is faster than a bullet, more powerful than a speeding locomotive, able to leap the tallest buildings.
Yeah, included that bright in the beginning of the Adventure Superman's like standing up straight. But of course, Daffy's got to like his arms crossed.
But I like the fact that we got a little pop gun in there. And I've watched this quite a few times and it just never clicked for me until now and made it really funny.
That's been a staple of Superman, though, since the radio show.
But the thing about the gun, though, is I just realized that he doesn't say faster than a speeding bullet. He just says faster than a bullet. There's not even a speeding bullet. It's just bullet. Just the way it's delivered by Dawes Butler doing that narration. But yeah, we see the whole intro. And of course, yeah, Stupor Duck, he can't quite leap over the building. He ends up getting caught on the actual flagpole. But he gets people into it, and people who are familiar with the show will go a kick out of it. But even if not, it still works really, really well. So where are we now?
Disguised as Cluck Trent, a mild-mannered reporter on a metropolitan newspaper, Stupor Duck fights an endless battle against the forces of evil.
We are at, well, I don't know what the equivalent of the Daily Planet would be for this parody. You know, they don't say anything, but I'm assuming it's a Daily Planet. We're currently in the office. We see Cluck Trent, and he overhears some commotion. He's taking the mild thing too literally. Like, he has to take those mild pills.
Now they'd call it Ritalin.
Yeah. But it's a great opening. I love the animation that's done at the desk of Cluck Trent, trying to loosen up his hands and such. There is an animated breakdown available, and our buddy Devin Baxter has shared that. So if you want to know who's animated what, definitely check that out.
There's one continuous link to this cartoon and to 1943's Super Rabbit and to the Fleischer Superman animated series. Do you know what that is?
It was included in countless Superman Blu-rays and DVDs.
Well, no. I mean, what person? It's not Siegel and Schuster or somebody like that. No, it's the Animation World.
Ooh, who is it?
It's Ted Pierce. Pierce worked
all of
these. He wrote Super Rabbit, he wrote Stupor Duck, and he worked on the original Fleischer Superman animated series. So, yeah.
There we go. But we do hear, yes, all the commotion that we mentioned earlier, and we see the television set in there. So I guess being a managing editor, you get some nice perks, you know, with the brand new television set, because those would not have been cheap at that time in the 1950s. Maybe he uses that to his advantage. He doesn't go home to the wife. He can just watch TV at the office where he doesn't get bothered. So, yeah, we very touched upon the wonderful voice acting by Mel Blanc doing the over-the-top, corny soap opera. But this I never quite got as a kid where the whole water ends up just rising in the office like that. It's like, really? Sure, why not? So we then see that we go to the broom closet and where we get a witch. I mean, come on, it's a broom closet, right?
Whoops, wrong costume.
And then we see, of course, Stupor Duck, where he's got to fix up his shoulder pads. I It's a reference maybe to the costume that George Reeves wore.
For the Superman outfit, it's just he looks like he's wearing pajamas almost.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
So then we see, okay, that the editors had enough. It's like, yeah, I don't know why I watch this stuff. And we see here in a beautiful bit of timing where Stupor Duck basically opens the window, is about to fly out. The window closes, and then he ends up smashing into a building and says, couldn't they put another place for a building?
Sakes. I mean, wouldn't you think they could find some other place to put a building?
So really, we got the whole beginning pass pretty much just to get Stupor Duck in the air. And now we just see a whole bunch of different gags relating to Stupor Duck's wonderful adventures. The first one being the building. It's blowing up. He ends up saving it, and I love with a bit of layout. So when he quote unquote saves the building and lands down, we see that beautiful sign, and that guy looks pissed, doesn't he?
No thanks are necessary, my good man. I was just doing my duty.
Just your stock standard demolition worker. But there was something that I was curious about. He gets knocked in the head, so I guess this version of Superman's not invulnerable, but happens to be incredibly strong, I don't know. But he says the lights then went out all over the world.
And the lights went out all over the world.
I think I know what that might be referring to. There was a song in 1942 called When the Lights Go On Again All Over the World, which was a #1 hit. That's all I can think of. You guys have any other ideas?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that one either.
I'm thinking it has to reference something, and that seems the likely reference, but if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments, guys. If you have any other ideas, let me know. Either way, it's funny, even if you don't know that. So, yeah, there's that. Next gag involving the submarine, and I've always loved the timing of this where he saves the submarine and just like little cannon just comes up and just shoots him. I've always loved that timing as a kid. But we also see our first rule of 3, which is the yell that you guys do often. Is this looks like a job for Stupor Duck.
This looks like a job for Stupor Duck. This is a job for Stupor Duck. This is a job for Stupor Duck. He's no match for Stupor Duck. This is a job for Stupor Duck. This is a job for you know who.
And it gets more and more extreme leading up to the 4th version, which is, of course, ends up being you know who. So, but look at the timing. And then, of course, the music as well. It just goes da-da-da, bang. That's it. And we still see the elements of Wacky Daffy where he's running away from the actual torpedo and, yeah, it gets blown up as well.
Fire 1. 1 away, sir.
Mother.
So, still got the hints of the Wacky Daffy there.
We're getting further into this like Cold War.
Even if you didn't know about the Cold War thing, you would know that the US has submarines. But I like the fact he gets shot. He goes, mother, and I guess his comb, his box of vitamins.
This is the idea of a missile is purely Cold War because, like, what is the first thing this mad Russian's going to go after? He's going to go after the boat.
Exactly. But the next thing, there's a bridge, and one idea is to blow up the actual bridge, which makes sense. I mean, if you're going to invade another country or whatever, I mean, what's one of the things you should be doing, you know, blowing up bridges and stuff. But we see that it's a movie set for good old Warner Brothers, which has been referenced countless times in these Looney Tunes shorts. So I wonder what picture they're making, you know, maybe a John Wayne picture or something. I don't know. Well, I wonder who the director is, just his director there. I know it's not a parody or anything, but, you know, it's just a generic director, I guess.
Yeah, the internet, when looking at it, said the director is Parody of McKimson, which made no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah, I doubt it. Yeah, I think it's just...
Guess it doesn't look like McKimson. It doesn't make sense that it's McKimson. There's nothing about it that makes sense.
No, it's just a generic shot of someone sitting there. That would have been done in like 5 minutes or something, if that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, there's no reference to McKimson aside from that building I mentioned earlier that he's got his name on, and that's it. But we see that, yeah, the Stupor Duck quote-unquote saves the day. He lifts up the dynamite and ends up blowing up, which again is... well, kind of honorable of how inconsistent this whole thing is. It's ridiculous, but yeah.
relieve you of that, if you don't mind.
And we lead to our very last gag, which this makes sense again, Cold War. It's like, okay, he thinks it's a nuclear missile, but it's actually a rocket to the moon. And to those younger folks watching this, they did not go to the moon at this point. It will be another decade. Yes, there was the space race between the two nations, but the moon landing wouldn't happen until 1969. So there's that.
NASA itself wasn't even established until 1958, so this is before NASA.
Yeah, so this might be just some rogue government agency testing rockets to the moon. I don't know.
Well, prior to that, they had the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics called NACA, so they did stuff, but it was more kind of in line with like the Air Force.
And Cold War related, probably under Eisenhower's direction or whatever. Obviously, we're not going to get too much into that here, but still, we see that living up to his name, Stupor Duck thinks it's a nuclear missile. No, it's a rocket. And we see two mountain climbers nearby just saying, you know, hey, up there in the sky and all that usual stuff to bookend our short here as Daffy's rocketed to the moon, where it wasn't Armstrong that landed on the moon first. It was Daffy Duck all along. Or Cluck, Trent.
Cluck, Trent.
Yeah. So, and we end right there. So it just ends. But this one is such a staple. I've seen this one so many times. I'm sure many people have seen this. They usually would show this amongst other superhero stuff as like a opener or whatever.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's one of the McKimson's better later efforts, in my opinion. It's not my favorite. The animation is maybe not as strong as early McKimson in his unit, but I don't know. I like it. I give it a 9 out of 10, and a lot of it's just nostalgic as well. So yeah, I like it.
I agree. We'll give it that exact rating.
What about yourself, Mark?
I would give it a 9 also because Super Rabbit is still funnier. The best part about this cartoon is the opening with the pop gun and everything else, and it kind of drags after that. But like I said, when I was younger and they didn't show it very often, I really was like, oh boy, it's on again. You know, when it came out on home video, then I started analyzing it. You go, it's not the best, but I'm going to give it a 9 like you are, just because I like Superman and I like Bob McKimson. Hell, I love Ted Pierce, you know?
Yeah, and I like some of McKimson's later work. I do think his Foghorn series is his best, and his Porky and Daffy series second best, but then you'll have these odd shorts here and there that just work so well, including this one, and it's classic. Love it. So there's that. But that will do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and until next time, take care.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Stupor Duck.